Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Creep Me Out with Tarot Reader Peter. And
I was at a client's house today, right? And I was like standing in his driveway because I had to piss. There was like nowhere to fucking pee. So I was like, I'm just gonna pee in his woods, right? But I'm
Okay.
standing in his driveway and I like look up and I've never seen a fucking driveway like this before. It was like at a 90-degree angle and it was just like a huge hill. Mm-hmm. And I look up at all these trees. There's a camera in like every single tree. And my first thought was like, dude, if I was gonna get like kidnapped or murdered, I would want it to happen here. Because there's no way that you're not gonna catch the person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's cameras everywhere.
yeah, like they have it perfectly set up to protect you specifically.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's where my mind went.
So,
Thank
guys. So, today's episode is different
Yeah.
because we have two guests. We have Kayla
What's up, guys?
and we have Carson.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And now,
So happy you guys are here.
yeah, we're so happy to have you guys. They've got some great stories for us. We're excited to jump in. Before we do that, Kayla has a TikTok called The Snack Sergeant that we want to shout out. Go check her out. We're really excited to have both of these friends here today. We're having a pizza party on the Creep Me Out set,
Yes, we are.
and we couldn't be more stoked. So before we dive in here, I'm just going to remind you guys that some people may find the following stories creepy, strange, or disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Also,
All right.
we're filming this episode.
Oh, yeah, and that's another thing that makes this episode different. This one is also going to go to YouTube. We are video recording it right now, for better or worse. So we'll see what happens. Now,
Subject to change.
which one of you guys would like to start with the story? You want to...
You want me to go
you
first?
open it
Okay.
up. Yeah,
I guess
Carson, open it up.
I'll open it up.
We're gonna jump right in.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
jump in here. Set the
Okay.
scene for us,
Yeah.
Carson.
So I've
You
got a couple stories for us today. The first one happened when I was younger, so about 13 years ago when I was 17, and then the second one is going to be a little bit more recent. But the first story, just to give a little bit of background, a little bit of context. My parents bought a home when I was like 2 years old that had been built by an older couple, and they had they wanted to make it their dream home, and so they moved onto the property into a trailer while the home was being built. And about 6 months before construction was done, the wife unfortunately passed away. And this, I think, is important to the story later. But so the husband, the older man, he stayed and he lived on the property all the way through to the house being done, but he never moved into the house because he didn't want to live there without his wife. So he just lived on the trailer on the property the whole time. And then I don't know how long after the house was built. Obviously, I was just a baby at the time.
Lad,
Yeah.
if you will.
Just a wee little lad, just a wee little lad. But he was pulling out of a store in our town. This was in Oregon. This was in Central Oregon. He was pulling out of a store onto a town, and he pulled right out in front of a semi truck and died. He got hit by the semi truck. So I don't know if it was like
Oh,
a
wow.
suicide,
Yeah.
or if it was an accident or what happened, but he never lived in the house. And so then the very next owners were my parents, right? They bought this house, and me and my brother grew up in it all the way until we were about 17, when my mom was getting ready to sell the house and move to California. So this is kind of what sets the background for the story. I'm saying a lot. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're fine.
I'm not used to telling
We're all
my
real
story.
people here.
I'm not used to telling my stories in such a formal context.
You're good.
But so anyway, yes, we lived in the house the whole time, and it was something that me and my brother never really talked about until later. But we always kind of got this feeling that we were being watched from the outside of the house. It was a pretty big house. There was kind of a long hallway down the middle to all of the bedrooms, which would have been on the east side of the house. And then the west side of the house was like the living room, the kitchen, all in this sort of circular fashion. And so when you would walk into the hallway, there was a big glass door window leading right out to the back deck. And it was like every time we walked by that hallway, it was like the hairs on the back of our neck would stand up. You know what I mean? We get this feeling that we're like being looked at by something. Mm-hmm. And again, we never, I don't think we ever really thought about it or anything like that until we were older. And I was like telling my brother this story later. But yeah, we always felt like somebody was outside the house looking. And then when my mom started moving out of the house, she had bought a place down in California, which is about it was about an 8 to 10 hour drive down there. And she was making multiple trips to get all of our furniture. So we had horses, we had all of our furniture and everything that we needed to bring down to California. We were doing it in multiple trips. So the first trip, she leaves, and you know a lot of the couches in the living room and stuff is out of the house, and I am. What's up? What, you little hang loose?
Yeah, I'm just hanging loose.
Don't get distracted by It's part of the game.
Yeah. my
So,
bad.
so my
scared.
mom had left. I still had school. I was finishing up my junior year of high school, so I was still in town, and my mom was down delivering a load of furniture down to the house. And I was laying in my bed trying to fall asleep, and I kept hearing like this sort of like clicking sound, or this almost knock. And what it sounded like was somebody was like opening the kitchen cabinets all the way down the hallway from my room, and then just like dropping them closed. They would sort of naturally close themselves. And so I started to kind of get myself freaked out that night. And I was like, you know, about to fall asleep, and I'd hear this click, and then it'd kind of jolt me awake. And I'm like, what is that? You know, a 17-year-old kid kind of freaked out in my own house. Yeah. And then 2 more times that happened where I'd just about to be doze off to sleep, and I'd hear it again. And it really just kind of freaked me out. So I was, man, I'm kind of messing this story up a little bit, but so.
Okay.
Let me start. So back to the clicks. Sorry, there's an important thing. So anyway, so I was hearing these clicks, and I'm like kind of freaking out in my bed, and my bed was up against this window right behind where my pillow was set.
Dude, you're never supposed to sleep under a window.
Is that true?
I've heard that many
Yeah,
times.
I've heard that too.
Really?
You guys have never heard
Never
that?
under a window
Yeah.
and never in front of a mirror.
Yep.
I heard the
Really?
never part, but never a window.
I hear, like, no, there's like something, I don't know, there's like something that happens when we're asleep, like say, like subconsciously when we're under a window that we like deem it as.
Yeah, well,
we're
it's like
vulnerable.
Yeah,
no,
it's
totally. I mean, I just
Stop! Don't look at that. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry.
Like,
about
guys,
the fact
there's
that
a window.
My bed is right underneath two windows. It's fine.
but
It's fine.
So anyway, so let me kind of get into a little bit more detail here. So the first click happens, and I kind of sit up, and I'm just listening, trying to hear anything. You know, it's kind of an older house, so I'm just, you know, maybe I'm hearing the noises, the new acoustics without the furniture in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
Yeah.
psyching myself out,
Yes,
right?
trying to rationalize.
Right, trying to rationalize it exactly.
Yeah,
and then
Logical.
it's important to note this was the second trip that my mom had made down to California. And so I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, okay, man, like I'm just freaking myself out, you know. So I lay back down, and I'm trying to go to bed again, and then right as I'm about to fall asleep again, I hear this click, right? And I'm like, you know, back up, freaking out, and this time I'm waiting up for probably 30, 40 minutes, like really just sitting listening. And I had this cat. We kept this cat outside he was still at the property. And he came and he perched himself right on like the outside of my window. We had this ledge, and he was sitting there on the outside of the window, super friendly cat. And he was sitting there purring. So it was like kind of lulling me off to sleep. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
So he's literally just like sat above.
yeah,
your
like
head
I'm laying up
on
against the
outside.
window, and he's right behind
Yeah.
the window, and I can hear him purring. You know what I mean? On the other side. And
Is this
sounds
a second story house, or is this a
no, this is just no, it's a single story
okay,
house.
okay.
Single
I had
story
to
house.
clarify that because I'm like, wait a second.
So
That sounds really nice.
I'm laying.
Throwing that out there. So I want to fall asleep.
So I'm laying there, and the cat's purring. It's kind of calming me down, and I'm about to fall asleep, and I hear all of a sudden outside my window there's a patio, a cobblestone patio, and then just next to that was a gravel driveway, and then we had horse pastures on the other side of that. So I start to hear what sounds like horse hooves in the gravel, and I'm like, oh shit, like the horses got loose. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, damn, you know, I'm gonna have to get up and get these horses. And then it dawns on me, the horses are in California. My mom had already brought the horses back down to California. Right when I hear that thought, it's like a clop, like on the cobblestone onto the patio right outside my window. And it just is like clop, clop, clop up to my window, and then stops right there. I could hear it like right on the other side of the window. And I'm like petrified with fear. I'm like terrified. And and I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna look at whatever's gonna kill me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
So
would never.
That would be
course.
me. I'd be like, I need to see what.
Yeah.
Never.
And
Right.
you know, another thing is like that's such a specific sound that
Yeah.
you would know.
Right.
Like, you
It's not
wouldn't-
fake.
Yeah, you wouldn't mistake. the
Yeah, some
sound of
horse hooves. Yeah,
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 Yeah.
And so I shoot up in bed and I turn around and I look to see what was outside my window. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as soon as I do that, the cat on the other side, and like splits, and and there's nothing there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm freaked the hell
It's
out.
just a horse. It's like, what the
It's a long face.
And so I'm freaked the hell out, and I'm like, man, and I stayed up till probably 4 a.m. You know what I mean? I was totally petrified. And then the next day, I checked, like I went and I kind of checked out the patio, and there was my cat's like claw marks, like in the little wooden ledge outside the window. And I was like, dude, I know something drag it off. You know, I'm freaking out. And so I had a few buddies. That's pretty much like the scariest thing that happened in this story. But I had some buddies. The next day I went to school. My mom wasn't supposed to be back until the day after next. So I went to school and I was like, you guys have to come stay at my house tonight. Like, I'm not staying in my house alone tonight.
Yeah.
And so my buddies are like, okay, yeah, we will for sure. And I slept in my parents' bedroom, and then two of my buddies slept in my bedroom. And I guess one of my buddies, he tells this story. It'd probably be better if he told it, but he's not here, so I'll do my best. But he woke up in the middle of the night, and like the bathroom door he thought he heard the bathroom door like shut closed. So he went up and he used the restroom, and then when he was leaving the bathroom, he put a shoe in the door to stop it from closing. And then like a couple hours later, he woke up again, and the bathroom door was closed, and the shoe was like out in the hallway.
Nope.
Could it have been like a friend though, or no?
So what my like take on it, what I think was happening was that I don't, obviously I don't know for sure, but I'm wondering if it was like the spirit of the old man that had lived on the property outside before, because everything was sort of outside the property. Nothing was ever really in the house aside from the shoe.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe he knew that we were moving and was upset because he had kind of grown up with our family and didn't want us to go, and so he
It
sort
was
of
like stirring
Dude,
up
I was
energy.
gonna say that.
Yeah.
It was like he knew that you guys were leaving him.
Right.
He
Yep.
was like, I need to let them know that I'm here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
actually
fucking
really
crazy.
sad too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
wife died, and then he dies in a truck crash. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In a way, you guys were kind of like,
Right, like family
Yeah.
or something to
Yeah,
him, you know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And
Aw.
I don't know, you could tell, I mean, like just with this story of like him living outside of the property, I feel like, he never went and lived in the house. Like there's a lot of hurt there, I feel like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
wait, so that does make sense then that he would approach you from the outside.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then like,
True.
and
That was him.
that feeling of being watched from like the window when you're walking
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
like the kitchen and stuff
Dude,
like
that's
that.
very real. When your
Yeah.
body takes you off to that,
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
sensation.
We like to always talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always talk about that stuff. That is a very real.
It's like a primal instinct.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
that we all have.
Yeah.
you know?
And so my brother, I have an older brother who's like 2 years older than me, and he was gone. He didn't join the military at this time, so he was gone. And I was talking to him about it, like, within probably a couple weeks, a month. And he was like, I was talking about like, I always feel like I'm being watched from the kitchen window. And he's like, dude, same. Like he was like, I know exactly the feeling you're talking about. It happened every time to me.
Yeah.
Like, so it was like,
And you guys had never.
and we'd
had
never like
that.
talked about it or discussed it beforehand.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's,
So
Yeah.
that's a real fucking haunt, right?
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Say.
for real.
Yeah.
though.
Classic haunting.
yeah.
I mean, it's got to be. If somebody, I subscribe to the idea that when people pass away, like in a space like that, they're definitely leaving something behind.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Especially because, his wife died. It was the house that they were building together.
And it was like their dream home too.
Exactly.
You
It was
know what I
like
mean?
very
Yeah.
emotionally charged. So
Yeah.
even though he never lived in there, I'm sure he was at some point in that space too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
still some sort of like sentimental
Residual
value.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
So-
that place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's spooky.
is
that was kind of the first one, and that one, the older that I've gotten, the more I'm like, man, was I just kind of thinking about, you know what I mean? Like you kind of start to rationalize it a little bit.
yeah.
But
Your brain plays tricks on you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're scared and like you
Yeah.
think something's there, you might like make it there. You know what I mean? Kind of imagining it. So, but more recently, we in our space that we're currently living in, we've had like definitely some weird stuff going on. And this one's a lot more fresh, so the details are going to be hopefully a little bit
I
better.
think I know which one this is.
Yeah,
Really?
Did you guys preview this one to me, like at
Potentially.
that bonfire one night?
might have.
Is this the one in the cemetery?
So
Oh,
this is
well,
this,
that- we
but
have
it,
that
it
one
goes
too.
yes. So it goes
The
a
one in the
little.
cemetery
So that's
fucking
where
really
it-
It's
bothered
super
me.
spooky.
That's where it starts, right? That's where it starts, and I
Okay.
think that it goes a little bit further. Also, this guy's yellow. I don't know if that's normal.
What the fuck? That is not
Wow,
supposed to be
that's
on
actually
yellow.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
It's also
Wow.
just so you guys know, like I've been many places with this thing, and it doesn't do this. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't stick
That's
on a color.
wild.
Only here so far has it
That's
has it
actually
lit up and
crazy.
stuck on a color.
Well, it was green this whole
That's
time, and then as soon as we started
Yeah.
talking, it's back to yellow. So a
That's
little bit of phasmophobia stuff
Yeah,
there.
maybe it's the guy
So-
from the house.
So I wanted.
Summoned
to.
him.
left,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
exactly.
No, I hope not, man. I don't think so. That felt a lot more emotionally charged than this more recent one. These stories are a little bit more. Not, I wouldn't say they're spooky or they necessarily even are like scare me. They're just inexplicable.
yeah.
Yeah, you just cannot rationalize it. There's no logical explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I've spoken about all of them on the podcast,
Yeah.
and it's like you just cannot deny that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know that
when
this
there is no
happened.
answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
No, it's
please,
good.
it makes it good. Like,
So-
it makes it, like-
I'm just excited.
Yeah. So more recently, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, me and Kayla, we live across from a church, and behind the church is a cemetery. So we like to go.
a lot. We walk in the cemetery a lot.
We log it, which
is
maybe some
fucking
people
rad, by
would,
the
which maybe some people would say, "Hey, that's a bad idea." We're just trying to get some steps in. You know what I mean? So
I get it. The Tarot Reader Peter fans know that like I lurk in cemeteries all the time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I like
We
it.
got-
I don't know, it's almost like comforting
yeah.
sometimes.
I
Like,
saw
Yeah.
the coolest cemetery yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was actually gonna be like, "Yo, we should go to Melville to check out the cemetery."
I'm
Melville.
down.
That's where it was. Yeah.
That's so deep.
That would be a good spot for a fucking
Photo shoot.
for a
Yeah.
creep me out cover.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
Set
that was
it
a
up.
good one.
We
I'll
were
call
gonna
my
do
people.
a music video in a cemetery.
We were gonna do that. Yeah, that's fucking right.
We
And
were
that
last summer.
that
I
never
know.
came to.
Side note,
no,
but
that's
yeah, we
okay.
still have
That's
to.
okay.
Yeah.
so we decide we'd taken a couple walks through the cemetery, and then one night we decide that we are going to. This guy over here. We decide that we're going to. It's about like 8:30 at night, so it's starting to get dark. But we just wanted to go on a walk. So we start this walk in the cemetery, and it's getting pretty dark. It's kind of like
It's like
dusk
dusk.
into darkness by the time we're kind of there and walking around.
Yeah.
And so we walk in, and the cemetery's got 4 rows and then like 2 columns, right? So it's of graves. And so we walk all the way down to the back of the cemetery, and then as we're turning around, we're walking back, and there's one flag post in the middle of the cemetery that's got an American flag on it. And then it's got a light. It's the only light that's in the cemetery, right? And we're walking back, and I see somebody like walking on the path in the middle, and I'm like, I tell Kayla, I'm like, oh, like somebody here with us? You know, it's kind of weird. It's like 9 at night at this point. Like
Yeah.
somebody else walking the cemetery.
You're like, whoa, what weirdo is walking
Yeah.
the cemetery?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
You said they were in white, right?
no, I didn't see any colors or anything. It just looked like a person kind of walking by, like underneath the light, right?
Okay.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I just want to caveat off of this because you're missing an integral part of the story. Is that we were in the cemetery walking, and we stop because I look east, and we see these orbs in the sky.
No, that was after I saw the.
Are you sure?
Yeah, definitely after. Because
That's
what,
even weirder, to be honest.
because
with
what
you.
happened? Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
a
I'll
break
touch
and
on
you'll
that.
talk about that. For some reason, it's weird. The thing that freaked me out, or not freaked me out, but that I was like psyched on. Kayla was like whatever, and then she had something
just
else,
like-
right? So we're walking back, and I see this person walking under the light of the flagpost, and I'm like, is somebody else here with us? And I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking the whole while we're walking by this light, and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
There's like, it was just like a quick, like 2 seconds, somebody walking by, and then as soon as they were out of the light of the flagpost, they were just gone. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm telling, like, you know, I'm like, oh, I
No,
just
of
saw
course,
somebody.
he didn't stop talking about it for like hours. Like he was super spooked. Like
Could you make out any features whatsoever on the figure itself?
No,
Like,
just no, because we
Tall.
were probably like 40. Yeah, maybe my height. You know what I mean? This definitely wasn't like a child. It was like an
you're
adult.
tall.
It looked like a
Yeah,
man, I don't
but
know,
like, yeah, it looked like like an adult. I don't know.
but
It
a
was
very
hard to
dark
say.
figure, like very dark.
And it was it was your height. You're what 6'6"?
No,
6'6".
what? I'm not that big. 6'2".
Wait, no, you're bro. No, you're
I'm 6'2". I'm wearing
You're
cowboy
taller- you're
boots with a
taller
little
than
bit of
him, I think.
risers right
You're
now.
like you tower over me. Oh, you said you
so
were.
I got
Cowboy.
the boots on. I got the boots on. Yeah,
He's a phony.
yeah. I'm a big phony. But anyway, and then we saw.
Yeah, so we're sitting in the cemetery after this happened, and for some reason I just was like, oh, the ice cream man's
Ice
outside.
cream man.
We go out, he's just like not there.
Ooh, I would love. Let's go check.
So yeah, so we're in the cemetery, and that happens, and I don't know why I just chucked it up. I was like, I don't know, someone's probably just like walking their dog or like I
You
don't
just
know.
didn't think that was weird.
Yeah,
whatsoever?
like I don't know. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So we look over east, like kind of towards like Montauk, like over by the beach,
Yeah.
and we're still obviously in the cemetery.
Yeah, we're still in the
But,
cemetery.
yeah.
Yep.
So there's these like 7 different orange orbs, and they're all like it was not an airplane, it was not a helicopter, it was nothing.
It was definitely bizarre. Yeah.
It was so weird. They were staggered, and they were going up, and then they were going down, and they were spaced apart, and they were like.
Well, it looked like they were
Wait.
like burning out. Go ahead.
Were you in the Air Force?
Yeah.
You were, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, I
They
feel
both
like
were.
you both were.
Yeah.
I feel like that adds to like seeing orbs in the sky. Like you guys.
That's what I mean. That's why. I
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I
'Cause I'm
wasn't
like-
losing my
That's why I'm
mind.
mentioning
trust
that.
these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
They
no,
know what the
it
fuck
wasn't.
is.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like an airplane or like I'm a flight instructor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
airplanes at night all the time. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't an air. They
No.
were they
Yes.
were amber lights.
No.
They were like
Yeah.
yellow amber lights, which like most planes have red, green, or white on them. So
Yeah.
it wasn't.
There was no
it wasn't-
blinking,
and they
there
were
was no-
they were like solid. What it looked like was like off in the distance by Montauk. These lights were like she said, like kind of falling and rising, and then at the either ends of them, they would like burn out, and then another one
Yeah,
would
they
like
would just fade away.
reappear. They would like fade
wow.
away, and another one would sort of light up, and it was like, like
That's weird.
yeah,
Yeah,
you would think
that's so weird.
almost if they're like dropping flares. I don't know. It's weird. It was really, really
But
weird.
it wasn't even. It wasn't flares. So he's like hung up on the person we just saw.
Totally.
And I'm like looking over east, and I'm like having a conundrum. I'm
Right.
just like,
Kayla's
dude,
like,
the
what are these
Carson-
lights? And I'm like, what was that person? You know what I mean? So,
We're still there. We stayed there for like 30 minutes. I'm like, we should probably get out of here.
so we do leave, right? And we're like, we're not even really spooked out. We're just kind of like amazed. We're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what was that? Like, how do we
Yeah.
explain that? And
Shocked.
Yeah.
and then that was like kind of the extent of it in the cemetery. But then I don't know if we picked up like a traveler, somebody
I think
that
we
was
did.
hopping across the street to come home with us or something like
Yeah.
that. But since we like just random little weird things have kind of happened at our house. So maybe a week later, I got home from work, and I always take my watch and I set it down in the bathroom on this little table next to the bathroom sink, so that when I get up for work I grab my watch, put it on. You know, it's routine, right?
But he puts it in the same spot, and it doesn't vary at all. Like it's the
Yeah.
same
Yeah,
spot
yeah.
every single day for like
Sure.
for a
Right.
very long time.
Yeah, totally. And then so we're getting ready for bed, and I take my watch and I set it down. I remember setting it down on the little table in the bathroom, and we go to bed, and I wake up the next morning. I'm getting ready for work, and I can't find my watch anywhere. I'm moving.
You're missing though at night. Remember when we
Oh,
both
the
woke
little
up, we heard a
noise?
noise. We heard like a
Oh, right.
clap.
Wait, you guys heard a noise?
It was
then?
like
No,
a,
it was
but like louder, like
Yeah,
something
like a
was
swoosh, and then it was a clap.
Okay.
Like something
Yeah.
fell off the wall or something fell. Somebody pushed something like as if I were to push these off right here. You would
Yeah,
hear like the
yeah.
shh and then a clap.
But
Yeah.
your mind didn't immediately go to like, oh, that must be my watch on the counter.
No,
No.
no.
But we both woke up and we were like, what was that?
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
weird that you both
It
heard
was like
that.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
or something like that.
And
I was
so
like, what just happened?
I wake up, I'm looking for my watch, and I can't find it. I'm moving the table, I'm checking all over the bathroom, and I call up to Kayla because she was still in bed, and we sleep in a little loft like above in our apartment, and so in the loft there's this little wicker shelf, and sometimes if I forget to take my watch off, I put it up on top of the wicker shelf, and so I call up to Kayla and I'm like, hey, is my watch up there? And she's like, she checks and she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, can you check on the little wicker shelf? Like, she's like, no, it's not up here. I don't see it. I'm like, what the hell? You know
It was
what I
a
mean?
very thorough job.
Yeah.
I looked very thoroughly.
You didn't fucking
Yes.
look.
It's like I didn't even look at all. I was just like,
You
yeah, it's
barely
not up
woke
here.
up.
Yeah, not there.
Yeah.
Barely woke up.
And so, and so she's like, it's not there. And I'm like, man, that's bizarre. But I'm not really thinking anything of it. And so I go to work and I come home, and Kayla was in the shower, and I go in the bathroom and I'm like, hey, have you found my watch? Did you see my watch? And she's like, no, I haven't seen it anywhere. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go upstairs and I look, and it's sitting right there on the wicker shelf, just chilling on the wicker shelf. And
trickster.
And so I grab it and I go downstairs and I just, before I like tell her that I have it. I was like, hey, you looked on that wicker shelf, right? She's like, yeah, 100%. I was like, you swear, like, on it? She's like, yes. And I'm like, dude, my watch was sitting right there. And she's like, no way, right?
Whoa.
And so that was that was like the first thing that happened. There's two more things, and the last one was like really like crazy.
Damn, you're just spilling all the beans.
I just figured let's get through it. You know, I don't want to take too long on
we
this
gotta
story.
pile through this, guys.
So
No, you're such a good storyteller.
doing great. You're
You're
doing
so
great.
natural at
You're doing
storytelling.
great,
Actually,
Jimmy.
so
Doing great to me.
I'm like captivated right now. I'm like, me too. You see me over there?
so that happened, and actually, funny enough, so I went to work the next day, and I was telling one of my students about this. She owns her own aircraft, and she was like, it was super funny. So I'm telling her about this story, and she's like, oh yeah, like Long Island's got tons of ghosts, She's like, what you have to do is get this. It's some special like Nordic horn or something like that. You know what I mean? She says you got to blow it, and the ghosts hate the sound of it, and they'll go away. And I'm like, oh man, I guess I'm gonna have to get one of those or something. And she goes, don't worry, I've got one in my car. And she
Pulls it out right there again.
Wow.
How
I
weird
want
is
to hang
that?
out with this person.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
for
trying
sure.
to hang out with this
That's
person.
amazing.
And her car's not like super cluttered. Like it's pretty clean.
It's like
There's
sitting
not
in the back
It was
seat.
like in her like glove box. She just has it on hand.
No problem.
And so
I got it.
she lets me borrow this thing, and I go home and I blow this horn, and because I'm like, I don't want.
Yeah, sure did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where'd
And,
you do it? You just walked right into the middle of the apartment and did it?
Yeah,
or-
just try. Yeah, and I had Kayla do it too because I'm not very good at I wasn't very good at blowing the horn. You know what I mean? It's like a trumpet where you gotta have a little bit of practice.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then nothing really happened for like I don't know, a month and a half maybe, 2 months. It was like everything seemed pretty kosher right from there. And then
He just said nothing really happened and then went to solid green. Went from yellow to just solid
Did
green.
it?
yeah, it's been like back and forth between yellow this whole time.
Does everybody know too that we have this on the floor?
The people listening to the podcast do.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And
Okay,
they could
okay.
see it from
You guys
the,
are
this
in.
little
Oh,
this little
perfect,
this
okay.
little EM reader's been going up to yellow
Yeah.
a few times here.
Okay,
So
that's crazy.
So then, a couple months later, I was getting ready for bed, and I was using the restroom, and I used up the last of the roll of toilet paper. And Kayla gets up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and so I was like, well, I'm not going to leave it empty, right? So we keep our toilet paper in this little cubby right next to the door, and it's stacked up. Sorry, it's stacked up, and this time it was 2 on the bottom and then 2 on the right side. So 2 stacked next to each other and then 2 stacked on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And I grabbed the one on the top right, and I take it and I undo the little adhesive on the toilet paper.
So it's glued sometimes.
You know,
what I
because-
mean? Like,
I know what you're
yeah.
talking
Because
about.
it's going to be the middle of the night if she gets up to use it. I don't want her to be all like tired and trying to mess
Yeah.
with it.
So
Finagle.
fucking thoughtful.
So
Brilliant.
so then I take it and I put it on and I put it over the top, right? Roll it over the top. I put it on the toilet paper roll. And we go to bed, and she wakes up, uses the restroom, and comes back, and we wake up in the morning, and we wake up in the morning, we're kind of moseying around, and she's like, dude, you're so stinky.
I was so mad at him.
I'm like,
so mad.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what did I do? And she's like, you used all the toilet paper. There was no toilet paper on the roll. And I was like,
No.
I was like,
know.
no. I was like, no, honey. You're crazy. I put more toilet paper on the
Yeah.
roll. And she's like, no, I had to lean over in the middle of the night and grab it from the cubby. And we're like sitting there having this conversation, and I walk into the bathroom, and I'm like, which one did you grab? And she goes, I grabbed the one on the bottom left, and I grabbed the one on the top right, right?
Yeah.
And I picked the one up on the top right, and it's unclipped.
Hanging
The adhesive is
loose.
it's
Wow.
hanging off. So it's the same roll that I had put on before
Yeah.
that ended up back where it was like the night prior. And I was like, this
fuck?
dude,
Isn't that crazy?
this dude's trying to get me in trouble. You know what I
Truly
mean?
like a trickster
Like
spirit.
Totally
Yeah.
trickster. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a big
Yeah.
jokester.
He is.
Yeah,
He's
big
kind of a
jokes.
jerk, dude. He's kind of like, I was.
What the fuck?
Because
Yeah.
I like the
That's
bit,
weird.
you know what I
That
mean?
is
I
very
think it's
strange.
funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, ha ha, guy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, so the most recent one that happened after that was I had to work at like 2. So I get up and we're hanging out at the house, and around like 12:30, I start getting ready for work. And I like shower and I get all my clothes on, I get my phone, my keys and everything. And then right as I'm about to get out the door, I'm like, wait, where's my wallet? And I start looking around for my wallet.
It's always
And-
the wallet.
It's always a wallet.
And I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it anywhere.
Which,
And
side note, it's also really funny because he has a wallet that has an AirPod, so you can put it in. It's like specifically designed to put an AirPod in it.
and I just didn't
And you
activate
just
it.
didn't hook it up.
I just didn't activate it.
So, like,
So I'm looking for my wallet, and I can't go work without my wallet. I need my ID and I need my pilot's license to go work. Otherwise, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's illegal.
Makes
you know
sense.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm looking. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm checking all over. I'm checking the couch. I'm checking like our little desk that we have. I'm checking upstairs. I'm checking my truck. I'm looking everywhere for this wallet.
we live in like a 300 square foot like
Yeah,
loft.
it's a
too. Like
tiny
it's not.
little-
It's like
Yeah.
It's like the size of this kind of.
There's only so many. There's
It seems so much bigger though, because you
It's
guys
just
have like a
'cause this-
yard. You guys have like that backyard.
Well,
and,
that
like,
yeah.
and then the staircase
upstairs, yeah.
Your place is fucking cool. I love
Thank you.
like the
Yeah, it's a
Thank you,
neat.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it's definitely. A neat
It's
very
really
small.
old, that
It's very-
building though, right?
It
It's
was
like-
actually it was built in 1812.
Bro, you can tell.
1812
You
it was
can
built, yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when I was there, the few times that I've been there, I definitely like, I don't know,
You got a little vibe.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
It's super old.
So I'm looking for my wallet and I can't find it. So I call into work and I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I have to cancel my flight. I can't find my wallet. I'm looking all over. And I had to cancel like 2 or 3 flights that day because I couldn't find my wallet at all. And I looked all over the house. I looked up in the loft, all the way around the bed.
It was
I looked,
turned upside down.
Yeah.
It
I
was a
looked
mess.
I looked in the couches. I looked
Yeah.
in the side. I looked.
never fun.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
for
searching
for a wallet.
hours I looked. I thought, you know, I was thinking the night before we lived right down the street from a gas station, so I went to get some juice, some orange juice, and I thought maybe when I got it back in my truck after buying the orange juice, it fell out and somebody picked it up,
Yeah.
right? And I even went down to the gas station. I asked them. I looked all over the place. I mean, I'm telling you, like, it was a horrible day, right? Because I'm just looking for this wallet the whole time, and I'm stressed out because it's got
panic.
all my
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and I can't find it. And like 9 at night, I'm like, whatever, man. Like, I'm just gonna have to replace everything. Like, it's gone. Like, I checked up in our loft around the bed 3 times. I took every blanket, shook it out, all the pillow, everything, man. I mean, no stone unturned, right?
Yep.
And
1 a.m.
And so I stayed up a little late because I didn't have work the next day. So I stayed out just like hanging out, playing a video game, whatever. And then I crawl. Kayla went to bed at like 10, and I crawl into bed at like 12:31 in the morning. And next to my in the little crack next to the bed, I keep like my headphones and like my like red light glasses because I like to watch like either listen to an audiobook or whatever. And I get all tucked in and I go to grab my headphones and I look and my wallet is sitting right there, right next to the bed.
Yeah.
And I wake Kayla up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I shake her awake. I'm like, you're not gonna fucking believe this. You know what I mean?
I was honestly really scared.
Because you definitely fucking checked.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, I ran my hand
5 to,
by,
like,
and
million
it was
times.
like in such an obvious place. It was like right there. It wasn't like it was tucked in anywhere. It was just hanging out,
Oh.
like, and yeah, and it was just right there. So
When he told me, I felt so. And partially, you know, I like to chalk it up because I was like, I was in a dead sleep, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
And all I hear is him whispering, and he's like tapping me, and he's like, "You're never gonna believe this." And I woke up, and I like immediately knew, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "The wallet," and he was like, "Yeah," and I was just like, I don't know.
Do you think it's like targeting you?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it's yeah, and so
I was
outside of
gonna
the
say that.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
what
outside of the things, I think that I kind of welcomed it a little bit, which is maybe not the right move, right? I think that I was like, because it was funny, you know, it's fun. Like
Yeah.
get like pranks are funny. That's a funny bit, dude. Like you take the toilet,
toilet
paper off the
paper, the
roll so my
watch.
girl will get mad at me. Like that's hilarious, dude. If
Yeah.
I was a ghost, like hell yeah, you know.
That's crazy though.
And-
Do you think it views it like? Because you're not from Long Island.
No.
You're not from here.
No.
You know, originally. So
Yeah.
like, does it?
I don't know
see
if
you
I'm
as,
just like
a
friendly
threat
or
see
like
what you mean.
outsider.
I don't
like,
know.
Maybe it feels like.
I think I genuinely think maybe I was just a little bit too welcoming because I like am not
He
like
subscribes to that stuff. You
because
know what I mean?
I was like
Yeah.
laughing about it, you know. I thought it was funny, so maybe I think that it thought like, oh, this guy likes
My
likes
jokes.
my energy, my jokes, so I'm gonna kind of
Yeah.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
But
Damn, you welcomed it.
yeah, I welcomed it. So kind of last little bit about this whole thing that's been bugging me is like when I go to we live right next to the train tracks, and so like when I go to sleep sometimes, I'll be like right about to fall asleep, and then it's like something comes and snags my sleep away from me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like a weird like fog or something.
Yep.
Like and I was like looking into like tricksters, and it was like something that tricksters do is that they'll like mess with your sleep, or they'll like push on your blanket so it feels. And I felt like a lot of those things.
Yeah.
So recently we actually I went and got some oil and anointed the
He
house.
anointed the apartment.
Yeah, I like took it by every, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
Well, if you ever need help cleansing a spirit, that's part of what I do
You
for
gotta
my
protect
job.
yourself.
So, like, you know.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I could
actually didn't know that.
come through and help with that. But that does sound kind of like
Some sort of trickster.
yeah, some sort of like
spirit.
classic trickster
Yeah.
spirit.
I really wonder if like that night in the cemetery is what brought that.
That's what I'm
maybe
saying.
it like actually did follow you
It
home
honestly-
that night.
It might not even be that night specifically in the cemetery, but you know, if you look at it like you're basically going into a place where you know there's going to be
Right.
Spirits.
you know,
Stuff,
spirits.
yeah,
So
right.
it's like it's kind of like a declaration of I'm open to
Yeah,
being in this space with
True.
spirits.
sure.
Yeah.
So like, you know, personally, like I do also kind of hang out in cemeteries here and there. Like I've been to a lot of them on Long Island, and have even like cleaned headstones with like this Facebook group that I
That's
joined
cool.
or whatever.
That's cool.
And
That's stupid.
well, and
Anyway. Stabs
and
the table.
I'm kind of always I try to be hyper aware when I'm in a cemetery if I'm how I'm receiving the energy that's
Right.
there. You know?
Interesting.
Right.
Because like there's a lot of bodies on Long Island and it's really old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you never really know
Yeah.
what
What's-
kind of
You're gonna take.
emotions the spirits have there, if they're happy to see you, if they're not, you know.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
so
right.
many
Yeah.
fucked up cemetery stories.
Really?
Yeah.
I got a couple of them. Yeah. I told you. Did I tell you the one about? I'll tell this one. Wait, no. Sorry. Finish your story.
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of I've changed my perspective on it, especially after the wallet. I was like, man, that's not cool. You know,
You're
what I
like,
mean?
come
No
on,
more.
bro, steal my
Yeah.
wallet.
Yeah,
You're done.
like-
It's the worst
You're
feeling in
outcast.
the world.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
so I've definitely changed my tune about like how I react to it, and
Yeah.
I've just been trying to like only the Holy Spirit welcome in my home.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah.
I was gonna say there was a night where a couple of my brother's friends. My brother's older than me. He's like 3 years older than me.
Okay.
But I used to hang out with all of them, like all like the older kids. So there was one night where
Mr.
like
Cool Guy.
yeah, badass over here. No,
3 years.
We went to that cemetery and like with this one friend who was like we're definitely like not friends with this dude anymore because he's fucking an asshole. But
I remember you telling me about this.
did I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
Yeah.
He like defaced one of the headstones.
Oh
there.
yes, we
Oh,
talked about this like 2
absolutely
episodes ago. or
not.
something
Yeah,
like
Absolutely
that.
and we were like, I don't think we talked about it on the episode.
Oh, no.
no. I told you this off the episode.
Oh.
But
I talked about
This
this.
is an
he
off-air
he
story.
This is an
defaced
offline story.
The headstone, and my brother was like, "Dude, that's not cool. Like, you shouldn't do that."
Yeah.
And he would like blew him off. He was like, "Oh, you know, I don't believe in that shit. That's
whatever.
What's it
fucked
gonna
up."
do, right? Yeah.
So they took a couple like separate cars to go there, and this person in particular like drove by themselves. So on the ride home, just out of nowhere, this dude just like falls asleep at the wheel and like crashes off the road, crashed into a fucking tree.
Yeah.
Totals his car, almost
is
dies
crazy.
that
Yeah.
same night
Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
fucking decides he's gonna pee on a head. So,
Yeah.
you know.
That's
So like, yeah, no, don't
Yeah.
mess around with
No.
with cemetery spirits.
Don't
No.
mess with the
That's
spirits,
crazy.
guys.
Yeah, don't mess with
do it.
spirits in
It's
general.
a bad idea.
What I wanted to say about one of your stories is like the chick that had the Nordic horn. Like, you know, like, it's funny to think about, but at the same time, it's like, what demons does that girl have
Oh,
that
yeah,
she
like, what
had
stories
that
does she
horn?
have?
So yeah. She
should get her on the pod.
because she
Maybe.
was the one that kind of told me like where I told her that initial story about my watch. She was like, "Oh, Long Island's got tons of ghosts."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I've never really been somebody that subscribes to like ghosts or spirits or anything like
Yeah.
that. And I don't know when she told me that I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense, But she said that it was for her folks' place. When they passed away, they left their place to her, and she said it was super haunted. So that's why she got the horn, was to
Yeah.
clear it out.
Dang.
I bet.
Yeah.
If she had a ghost repelling horn, I
Yeah.
bet
It
she had a lot of spirits.
It was just the funniest thing for her to like pull it out of her. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
just like,
Like, here,
actually,
take
matter
this.
of fact, I have one, and I'm like, what the
gotta
heck?
be
What are
kidding
you?
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's perfect
you
for my
serious?
situation right now. That's so fucking scary.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think like I remember when you guys first told me that. This is before any of this stuff
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
with you too, and you both were so like freaked out about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you know the two of you were just like, yo, we just fucking saw something in the cemetery that night, and it's crazy now that like you both have you have updates on that night.
Yeah.
I
Like
know.
I said,
Yeah.
that was like 4 or 5 months ago or whatever, and it's just like,
Yeah,
damn, there's been like more developments since
Yeah,
then.
into
Yeah.
the story. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was funny with work because I'm not gonna like tell work that a ghost stole my wallet. And that's
Yeah,
why I
yeah.
couldn't make it, right?
Yeah.
So I maybe I shouldn't say this on recording. Sorry, guys. But they were like, "Did you find your wallet?" And I was like, "Yeah, somebody left it in my mailbox." You know? I think somebody picked it up.
The spirits.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was just.
You were like, I'm not explaining.
I
this
was like, dude,
to
I'm not.
work right
I'm
now.
not about like they're gonna be like you're unfit, dude. Like,
Yeah, exactly. As a pilot too, you're like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't tell them that the spirits took my wallet.
Yeah, it's not gonna work, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's good stuff, though.
Yeah,
that
that
is
is.
good fucking stuff.
That is.
That's undeniable. Stuff.
And neither of us
Yeah.
are strangers to haunted houses. Like I
No.
grew up in a haunted house, so did he.
Me
and
too.
It's
The house where I grew up in was, I've talked about it before, was like
Yeah.
definitely
Really?
fucking haunted.
In Manorville, is that?
Manorville.
I'm from Mastic, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manorville's fucked up.
I was gonna say, I
Manorville's
wonder
scary.
if it's like a.
What was that?
Yes.
What was the story you were talking about before we
100%,
started?
Manorville's
The
fucking scary,
the white something, the deer
I
and
will,
the
I will.
yeah.
I'll tell
Yeah,
that.
let's hear that story. I don't even think I've heard that.
You're like, no, I'm not gonna tell her.
I know. I'm like, actually, never mind. I don't want to go
I'm
home.
gonna go home.
I'm feeling scared.
I'm gonna leave right now.
It's getting spooky here.
It's getting too spooky for me. No, but before I tell that story, there was this crazy time about the water in the bed.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was weird. Yeah.
So we were living in Oregon at the time, and we had left for the day. Like we did like a whole outing, whatever. We brought our dog with us, and long story short, we come home, and the windows were all closed because that matters. And it says my life is gonna end in
Important detail.
important detail, exactly. So we're out all day. We come home, and I'm like going to make the bed or whatever, and I'm making his side of the bed first, and I go on to my side of the bed, and I'm like, it's fucking soaked, like it's soaked, like I'm talking so soaked that the mattress is like soiled. My pillow is soiled. The only where my head lies, it's like soiled. And I'm like ripping off the sheets. I'm like, what the? I'm like freaking out, I'm like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
happening? Like,
Yeah.
Lola was gone, so it wasn't like dog pee or anything. We have no
Yeah.
cats. There was no windows open. There was no leak. It didn't rain that day.
No.
Nothing.
Well, no. Like the weird thing about it is like she said. I think you're messing up just a little bit.
Maybe
You said you were making the bed.
fucked up a little
but
bit.
the comforter was you probably were, but the comforter was over the bed. It was covering it, and the comforter was dry, totally dry, and the sheet.
Oh my god, that's right. Oh my gosh. I'm
Yeah,
so
so
sorry.
it was so the comforter that was covering the spot that was wet was
Yes,
dry.
yes.
I think we were getting in bed or something, but she pulled it up, and then there's a big wet spot like on the sheet, on the mattress.
Right. But everything else was
Everything
dry.
else was dry though. It was
That's
just
so
it
strange.
was
How weird
just
is that?
below it. Yeah,
the
it was
fuck?
like,
How
That
weird
is
is
so
that?
strange.
and she was like, "What the hell is
No,
this?"
I
Yeah,
was
it wasn't
super
that like
spooked.
something came like it was like whatever got it wet must have come from like inside the mattress. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that it dropped on top because the comforter was covering the bed the whole time.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
bizarre.
Really fucking
That is
weird.
very
That makes no
strange
sense.
and,
That
like-
makes no sense.
I love a story like that because it's a throwback to like classic like spiritualism where people thought that like ghosts leave like ectoplasm, like
Oh,
some
yeah.
sort of
Oh,
like
yeah.
weird residue.
Yeah.
And it's like, what could that have been? Where did it come from?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
Makes no
Yeah.
sense.
It doesn't.
It
I
smelled
love-
like nothing. I mean, it just
Really?
like,
Yeah.
totally odorless,
love
totally
this-
flavorless. I tasted it.
I tested it out. No, I love
did
when
see-
stories just have like no logical
Yeah.
explanation.
Me too.
Yeah.
No matter
yeah.
how you try and like rationalize.
Well, you know what I
Yeah.
love
Like,
too about
yeah.
about that is, like, regardless, I feel like of who you are, like lived enough life, you have a story like that where you just don't
Yeah.
have an explanation for it, and and people will, like my dad is very like no ghosts, no nothing, like
Yeah,
it's not
same.
a thing. But like you have a
Anti-ghost?
story that you can't explain, dude. Like
Yeah.
there are things about that, like. Through your powers of observation, you have no way to like explain why or how
Yeah.
that happened.
Right.
So
Yeah, but I feel like it's part of like a fear response, Like some people don't want to say like
I agree.
that was inexplicable
Sure.
because they don't want there to be something that's
Inexplicable
so
things,
outside of their
yeah.
control,
yeah,
I definitely
yeah.
agree.
I come across that a lot in my field of work, and
Really?
it's like at a certain point when something happens, you have to just accept like that you're never gonna have an answer.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
never know what wet your bed. like
Yeah.
Like, it bothers me. Like I
Yeah.
want to know.
yeah, and it's such a powerful part of the human experience is to accept that there are things with no answers.
Yeah,
Right,
totally,
right.
totally.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what fucking keeps me going, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Every
dude,
day.
Me
To be
too.
honest, yeah, I love that. I look forward to that, to those experiences.
Yeah, me too. Me
They don't
too.
happen too often these days.
Yeah, right. The whole haunting in the apartment literally
Last
7
week.
days
Yeah,
ago.
not
7
even
days
7
ago.
days ago.
To the day.
But all right, Kayla, you got a good story for us, right?
I
know you
do.
do.
I think
know
I
you do.
do.
Set the scene for us.
All right, so this one's not like. I mean, I think it's really spooky. I remember feeling so scared for literally like months.
Oh,
Months.
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So this happened in the shrine. So
The Shrine of Our Lady
yes.
in
In
Manorville.
East- Eastport,
That place
Manorville.
is fucking scary,
Yep.
by the way.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt you really
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah.
Really quickly with that. So, I was with my friend who she's from Colombia and she is like super spiritual, you know, like that's just
Sure. Yeah.
I brought her there one time.
Mm-hmm.
We were hanging out, and I was just like, "Have you ever been to the shrine?" No. Okay, I'm gonna
Let's-
show you some place cool
Yeah.
that you
Right,
probably
right.
haven't seen before. So we drive there, and we pull up, and we get to the very top of the shrine where the lady is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And I park the car, and we like my plan was like we're gonna like listen to music for like an hour, hang out, smoke, whatever. You know, like,
Yeah.
hang out there for like
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
As soon as I put that car in park, she was like, "We need to leave. Like, I feel really bad here. Like, please, let's go."
Wow.
And,
Wow.
So yeah, that place is fucked up. You ever hear those stories about like the sacrifices that would happen there?
In
No.
high school,
Heard about that,
yeah.
right?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, apparently
There was
they were
people
like
that would like cut heads off of goats and
straight up like
do
cultist
sacrifices on
activity,
the
bro.
little altar and.
Really?
But you know what's
Yes, we found one. Me, Greg, we used to all go there. We would just hang out there. Not
Yeah, it
do
was like the
anything.
spot.
Like literally
Yeah.
just hang out
Yeah.
there.
It's like high school, like
And one afternoon, it's like the middle of the winter, we're there, and it's so fucking cold. And you know how, like, behind the stone benches,
Yeah, it's like a drop.
there's like a drop.
Yeah.
I peeked over that drop, and we found a fucking shoebox back there, right? And when we opened up that shoebox, there was a fucking decapitated bird.
You're
in
fucking
there.
kidding me. Are
No,
you
I'm not.
serious?
No, I'm not.
wow.
Just like placed in the shoebox
Yeah.
and like tucked away neatly.
That's
like, on top of
so
some brush.
weird.
So there's
That's
definitely
some witchcraft as
yeah,
your,
there's definitely like I know like that's supposed to be like a holy place or whatever.
I
but
know.
like clearly people are trying to like defy that in some sort of way.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of weird though about like you said you brought your friend who's from Colombia and so Lorraine's family she's half Colombian.
Yeah.
So a lot of her family is Colombian and even some of the people that run that place are Colombian and that's where the Colombians like go to church. So it's
Oh,
even
are they?
Yeah, so it's even weirder.
That's crazy. I didn't
that
know that.
she felt not at
That's
home.
weird.
Like
That is weird.
like that's an added weird detail
Yeah,
there.
right.
No, I'll never. She was like, "We need to leave like immediately."
Yeah.
like,
Immediately.
like, I do
Yeah.
not like it here whatsoever.
Wow.
I was like, okay, and I've brought a bunch of people.
Yeah,
there before.
right.
Yeah.
It's like very rarely do they have that like.
Yeah. I mean it's
response.
creepy, but I love it there.
No,
I
I
know,
definitely hear
same.
that it's
Yeah.
creepy there. Like it's especially at night. Like when you go there
Yeah.
at night, it's like obviously like very like unnerving.
Eerie, right.
And just to set the scene, guys, it's basically like it's like a outdoor place of worship, like a
Yeah.
whole little walk that you go through where there's a bunch of statues and monuments that lead up to like
an altar,
yeah, a
basically.
big altar, a big
Yeah.
lady. What
A
was
big
it?
old
Mary?
lady.
What saint?
Well,
What
it's-
saint is that? Is it? It's got to be a saint, right?
There's a ton of saints because
Yeah.
it's like a Catholic
Shoot,
place.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's-
I don't
yeah.
remember the name.
But it's Mother Mary, and she's
Yeah, it's
holding
Mother Mary
baby
holding
Jesus
holding baby Jesus
on
at
like a
that
huge rock.
that like
Yes.
overlooks like this
very
mountainside,
big.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
hillside.
It's huge.
I think it's one of
Yeah.
the tallest points
On-
on the eastern
I
end
think
of
it
Long
is,
Island.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
But,
called the Shrine of Our Lady in Eastport or
Yeah, in
Maryland?
Eastport, I think.
Of
Yeah.
Eastport. And it's funny because like before we found that, I had heard all throughout like my couple last years of high school there like stories about how there was like some like devil worship like going
That's
on
crazy.
there,
I don't
like,
think I've
at
ever
night.
heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
wanna
yeah,
hear
I've heard that
legit.
too.
I want to hear your story about.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your story?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm gonna get side.
No, it's okay. No, I just am
interrupting.
curious.
Don't let
I've
this
never.
guy distract you.
I've
Yeah,
never
except
heard it.
before.
I've never heard
Really?
it. No, I don't
You
think
have?
so. Maybe I have.
Well,
We'll
this is the
see.
beauty. This is what I love about like podcasts. I love that we always bounce. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying like as if I've been on. This
She's a
podcast
big
before. Yeah, I'm a
podcaster.
big podcast girl.
Big caster.
Never
out here.
been on a podcast before, but
Not once.
Anyway, all right. So I'm trying to think if I can set the scene. I don't know if I'm that good of a storyteller.
You got this. We believe in you.
You're being modest.
Thank you. Okay, so my family and I were going through a really tough time at this point in time. Whatever, I was like 11. I think my parents were they were going through a divorce. My dad is like a recovering, he has been recovered, but he was like a really tough
You
heroin.
know my parents know your parents, right?
Do they really?
You don't know that?
No.
Dude, that's why you.
But I know that Corey, because my cousin Corey was like best friends with.
It's so weird how like stuff like.
It's all interlinked.
Yeah, it's almost like we were like bound to become friends at some point.
I love that. Yeah, I do believe in that.
My parents are like really fucking good friends with your dad.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your? Well, I guess we.
Diana. Well.
Yeah, well, that's not so. Yeah, we
Yeah.
won't. I know. I just like my dad's an ex addict, but yeah, that's crazy. No, I do want to touch on that though. That's
Yeah, don't dox your parents.
crazy.
I won't talk to
My dad's gonna hit me up and be like, "Why did you?" No, I'm kidding.
Ask them about me.
Yeah,
Not
about me.
Not
Hey,
about
do
me.
you know?
About my family's name. Ask him about my family's name.
I will. I definitely
He'll
will.
be like, I had no idea. Who
Yeah, he's
those
gonna be like,
people
I have no idea.
I'm lying this entire time.
So yeah, so my father was struggling with like a very severe heroin addiction at the time, and he was trying to get better or whatever, and I'm just trying to set the tone. Like this was a super dark time in like me and my family's life.
Yeah.
So my dad decides to take us to a psychic. I think it was out in Babylon. We were living in Babylon at the time, and so we go to this psychic, and she tells him, a bunch of stuff leading up to this, and right before we were about to end, she's like, when you find a white rabbit and a white deer, you're gonna know that your life is going to like transform for the better, and you're gonna have like incredible times ahead. Like it's like peace and like an uprising of your entire life,
Yeah.
A revolution.
Like
Yeah.
that's like your confirmation that things are going to
Yes, exactly. And at the time, like I said, I was 11 and I was just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, that's, what are the odds of that? So, we go and like have like a daddy-daughter date or whatever. We go to lunch, and then later that night, we drive to the shrine. And so we're on 111 and we're driving. And I kid you not, on the left-hand side of 111, right before you're about to take off that turn, there is an albino deer with red eyes lying on the side of 111. And I was just like, I was so afraid. I was like, this can't be fucking real. Like, there's just no fucking way that this is happening right now. So my dad, like, we get out of the car, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, this is just insane. So, the eyes are still kind of like open a little bit, and they're red. So it was like an albino, deer. It was like a white. It had like, a few brown spots like on the feet or whatever. But it was white. It was a white fucking deer. Like, when do you ever see white deers on Long
I've
Island?
never
Yeah.
seen a white
Never.
deer
Yeah.
in person.
I've seen
Never.
one once.
Never. Once, really?
One time.
On Long Island?
On Long Island.
Really? Where?
I'll tell you after.
Okay. So yeah, I think I remember I'm like shaking, and my dad's just like, holy fucking shit. Like, we're like freaking out.
Both of you immediately went to like what that psychic said to you when you found this deer. Like, were you thinking about that?
No, I
Reading?
don't even think we were. I think we were so spooked.
Just by the fact that it was an albino deer.
Yeah, and then I was
Okay.
just like, whatever. I think, I was 11, so I'm remembering this as best as I possibly can, but I think I was looking for the rabbit. Like, I was like, oh, it's like, Dad, there has to be like a rabbit, right? So whatever, an hour goes by. I think we stopped at my like grandparents' house because like they live like right by the shrine. And so we make our way up to the shrine. It's like dusk, and we pull up, and there is a white rabbit sitting right by the rock.
Wow.
And we just start bursting into tears. Like, my dad like hugs me, and like I'm like crying. I'm like super scared because I'm just like, what are, like, literally tell me the odds.
Yeah,
Tell me
right.
the odds of that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
Infinitesimally
how
small.
crazy
Yeah,
is
so
that?
slim.
So yeah,
That ain't a sign right there.
Yeah.
I know.
If that ain't a sign.
If that
I
ain't a
know.
sign.
So yeah, that happened. We went up and we stood on like the little bench and we overlooked Long Island, and it was super emotional. We like got done crying, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I love you," and then honestly, I think after that, like, it was kind of on the up and up. Like, it did kind of come true.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, did you notice like a
an upward.
trajectory for
It
the
was
family.
overall, but there was like a few dips in between.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now
nothing's
it's just
linear,
like
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was so profound, and that was like the most supernatural thing. Like I don't know. Just show me the odds of that happening. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
No, that is crazy.
So-
It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for not taking your children to psychics. because I'm a psychic myself. I do readings like that for people all the time. And
That's cool. That's really cool.
But when I was a kid, like my mom had a whole bunch of weird friends that were psychics too. And
Yeah.
My
One
mom
day-
was friends with your mom.
yeah. And one day she's like, let's get you a psychic reading or whatever. So I get a psychic reading. It's a palm reader. And she tells me, she's like, you're going to die when you're 18.
You're kidding
Oh
me.
my
Are you
God.
kidding me?
That's what she
No!
told me. And I was like 9 years old.
Sorry, you just reminded me of a really
9
fucked up story.
Go ahead.
Imagine
Are you
telling a
done?
9-year-old.
Yeah, I'm done.
Are you done?
Well, guys, I'm 31. So
Hey, he made
prophecy
it.
Beat the odds,
did not
dude, so you're
become
not dead.
fulfilled.
He made it. He made it.
Yeah, I'm the chosen one.
Wow.
So I've never been to a psychic before.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Any reason why or no?
no reason why.
Okay.
I would. That sounds fun. I don't, I would
Yeah.
definitely do it. I
Yeah.
don't count hanging out with you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
obviously.
Sorry. So I've never been to a psychic before, but my mom eats that shit up. Like
Yeah.
my mom is a very spiritual person. She loves that stuff, whatever. When she was like, before she even had kids, this happened to her. She got a reading done, and the psychic was somehow like able to piece together that my mom was like basically about to start a family, like have kids
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But she said specifically, she was like, one of your sons has a shadow over him. And my mom like was just kind of blew it off at the time, was just like, that's whatever. Like, I don't even have kids. What do you mean my son has a shadow?
I was gonna
that
say
follows over?
she didn't have kids.
No. She was not married to my father at this point. Oh no. She was with my father. My parents were like, they dated for like a long time before they started a family together, like got married. They were dating for like I think 7 years before like that
Wow.
happened. But so this is like relevant to me because I feel like when I moved into that downstairs apartment that was like attached to my parents' house, and again, that house, that childhood home that I grew up in, was super haunted. You could literally ask, there's like 30 people that you can ask, like all of my
Yeah.
friends, all of my siblings' friends, everybody, because my house was kind of like the gathering point for, that was just like the hangout spot, right? When I moved into that downstairs apartment, no joke, things started going really fucking downhill from there, and I legitimately thought that, or I felt like I was being like fucking haunted or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you countless stories,
Yeah.
both to you and on the podcast
Yeah, yeah.
already about it.
They know.
So yeah, they know. So my mom kind of pulled me aside one night and was like, I gotta like tell you something. And I was like, okay, what? And she proceeds to tell me this story about how she like went to a psychic, and she's like, I believe that she was talking about you.
Oh really?
Yeah. She's like, I
Aw.
believe that like you were the son in question that has this like shadow over you. And I like,
How old were you when this happened?
I moved down there when I moved into that like basement apartment at 17. I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
And then like, dude, just like shit just started like fucking going wrong for me. Like that whole time, like I lost all my friends. I was like
Yeah.
excommunicated from like a friend group. My fucking girlfriend dumped me.
Yeah.
This isn't a bad thing, but it is definitely like, throws a wrench in your plans. I became a parent. Like
Yeah.
I had a fucking kid,
Yeah.
like by accident.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
like
right.
all this bad shit happened to me, and I was like, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was gonna kill myself, like for sure. Like I had that like planned out, and it was. Dude, the entire time I'm like living in this basement apartment, and that's
Yeah.
why I will never live in another basement apartment again. Because
Yeah.
I feel
No.
like
Dude, the
I feel like
darkness
they're
was getting
fucking-
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I legitimately felt like I was like, I'm not even like who I remembered being.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
a different person.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say I don't get those vibes from you at all. You were so like
No, I mean,
smiley and happy and funny.
yeah,
Like
there were some dark times.
yeah.
like-
Well, that's why you're so funny now, because
Yeah,
it's
I think,
like,
I
you know
think
what I
so.
mean?
Yeah,
I think so. But
Yeah.
but yeah, those
Trauma.
years, like all those years, like living down there and stuff like that, like I don't know, something was like
Holding you
latched
down.
onto me. And
Yeah.
I have like so many fucking stories about that place.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's.
Coincidence.
Yeah, there's got to be like more to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
my mom's psychic story.
That's
And
crazy.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. And going back to your story, you know, going to a psychic with a parent can be a really intense experience.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, you vaguely understand what a psychic is, but you don't fully understand
Right.
how weird it is for someone to pull information out of nowhere yet.
Definitely.
You know, so like to tell you something like when you see a white rabbit and a white deer, your life is going to get better is
Yeah.
very like you're like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
Yeah.
but then for it to actually happen and for
Oh.
life to shift, you know, it's
Profound.
Yeah. You're
Profound.
I don't know what's
Oh,
going on.
no.
Dude,
I'm
that's
sorry.
why I'm like,
You know what it was?
What?
It was because you said,
Oh.
yeah.
oh,
I see.
That's so
Oh
lame.
no.
no, what did you get banned?
No, I have a restriction, but that's okay.
No way.
That's okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
I'm so sorry.
no, please. I actually have already gotten banned for like a week one time because we were talking about the same topic, and I think it's pretty not fair because I think people should be able to talk about stuff like that.
just
Yeah.
trying to have a conversation.
Yeah,
I know.
nobody's
Sharing
nobody's
your
encouraging
past,
that
yeah.
at all.
I know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
No, if anything, we're glad that didn't
Jesus,
happen.
I
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
do it, guys.
I know. Nice.
Still here.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Anyway, we'll continue. Thank
Yeah.
you for letting me know.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. So did you guys have any other stories that you wanted to tell
No,
today?
I think that's pretty much it.
I think that is-
laid it all out on the line.
All right. I mean, I have one story prepared.
Yeah,
Do
let's
you have
go.
anything that you want to get into this one?
I mean, yeah.
He's like, I have a
right,
million.
yeah, you-
no,
you
no.
do yours.
I would like you. I
All
would
right.
like for you to share.
All right, you can close. So this is throwing it back like 5 or 6 years. I was working as a manager at Target, and so every Wednesday was my closing shift. So like I would be the only manager on, and to set the scene, our Target only had female security, and the head of our security was like this like 5'2" girl, and she was
Yeah.
tough, but like she was little.
Yeah, right.
Right? So now I was what they call a style team lead, so I was like in the apparel department, and I would take care of like the men's department, the shoes department, and like women's ready wear or something like that. So men's department was where I would like kind of hang out and like do my thing. And I was doing like visual merchandising or whatever. And at Target, every employee has a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And so
It's fucking lame.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm in my department. I'm in men's, and it's close to when we're gonna close. It's probably like 10:30. We close at 11, and I'm in my department folding T-shirts, like graphic tees. And I see this guy come stumbling into my department, right? And it's like a customer, and he's like standing in the direct center of the department. And he's looking around, like kind of sus, and he can't see me yet because I'm like
Yeah.
on the outer edge. So I'm watching him, and but he can't see me, and he starts getting undressed. He starts taking his clothes off.
What?
He starts. He's taking off his shirt.
As you do.
Yeah, he's taking off his shirt. Now he has no shirt on. He starts unbuttoning his pants. He's taking his pants off, and now he's just in his underwear in the middle of men's.
Oh my gosh.
So I take my walkie-talkie and I'm like, security, are you seeing this? Like, you know, like, oop. Sorry.
Paid programming.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Just ignore that. So
No, it's okay.
So I'm like, security, are you guys seeing this? And they're like, yeah, but we got bigger. They're like, basically, they tell me they're like, we got bigger fish to fry. And I'm like,
What? At 10:30 at
I'm
night?
like,
What?
I'm like, there's a naked. I literally say, I'm like, there's a naked man in men's right now, and they're like, we only have one security, and she's busy. Can you handle it? So
Yeah.
I go over to this guy, and I'm like, excuse me, sir, what are you doing? And he's like, just being incoherent, like acting like he's drunk to the
Yeah.
point where he just cannot understand me.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty observant person out in the wild, so I'm like watching him closely, And he doesn't, I don't think he's really drunk. I think he's like acting, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, what is going on?
Right, is this a bit?
I'm like, yeah, what is this? Is he like messing with me? Is this a prank? Whatever. Then all of a sudden, on the walkie-talkie, I hear Team Lead Peter, like, get to the front as fast as you possibly can. And I'm like,
Oh,
I have chills. Like, in this moment, I hear this over the radio. I'm like, okay, so I run to the front lanes, right? And there's this mom and this little girl, and they're sobbing. They're like both sitting on the floor. And, sorry.
Fuck.
And, and, I go up to the security person that called me, and I'm like, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? And they proceed to tell me this story. This is what was going on.
Oh God.
So, firstly, the guy in men's was a distraction. He was meant to distract the security.
no.
What?
So, what was happening at that same exact time was this little 13-year-old girl her mom was checking out at the lanes, like at the checkout lanes,
Yeah.
whatever. The girl was across from the lanes in the women's department, and she was looking at, like, necklaces. Like, you know, there's, like, the walls of jewelry or whatever. She was looking at them. So, this, like, 6'5" man with a giant scar on his face that was bleeding. The scar was bleeding. Approaches this little girl and says to her, "Hey, sweetie, I'm buying a necklace for my girlfriend, and I need to know if she'll like it. Will you come with me for a second
Fucking
to
hate
like,
this.
yeah,
Oh my
to
God.
like, you know, come check it out?" And the girl's like, "No,
Good.
like, stay away from me." And he grabs her and tries to pull her away towards like the door to Target, and she's like fighting back, whatever. Now the mom's like seeing this is like,
Right.
they're making a scene. Security runs over, whatever, and there's nothing, like, basically, like, there's no one that can stop this guy from
Yeah,
kidnapping
right.
this girl because the security's a small girl.
Yeah, right.
So, like, this little girl's fighting back, whatever, like, punching this guy.
Wait, she is actively being removed from the store and
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah.
fucking doing anything.
And
Yes.
wait, but in the back of the store, there's also that naked guy, right?
There's a naked guy. So,
my
while this is
gosh.
happening, I'm like, what is this naked guy doing
right,
in
right,
men's?
right.
I'm like, is he about to put like 12 pairs of pants on and try and steal them? Whatever.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And at Target, I'm not even allowed to say like, you're stealing, stop doing that. So
Yeah.
like, I'm kind of just watching like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So I get the call. They're like, Team Lead Peter. I run up, and as I run up, I see this guy running out of the store. The girl's like laying on the floor crying. The mom's crying.
Oh my God, okay.
Right. So he didn't get her. He didn't get her. Right. He didn't get away with her.
Thank God.
We're standing there. I'm talking to the mom and the daughter because I'm the manager on duty, and I'm like, we called the police. You know, they're gonna take your report, whatever. The police come. We tell them the report. The police are like, there's nothing we could do.
There
Classic.
You go.
Classic, yeah, always.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing we could do.
Classic.
I'm like, and I'm super straightforward about everything. I say to the cop, I'm like, they're in the parking lot. I can see the guy right
Yeah,
there. Like,
right.
we're standing in the doorway of Target. I can see these people.
Yeah.
I'm like, this mom has to now walk to her car with her daughter, and these people are waiting in the parking lot. What do you mean there's
Yeah.
nothing you could do?
Dude, not only that, surely there's like video footage.
There was
Right,
there was
right,
so much video footage.
Oh my gosh.
And
What are we not?
because
about
this?
because
Acting
she
on.
did not get kidnapped, there was nothing that they could
How
do.
insane
That's
is
because
that?
he did not take her out of the store.
That's crazy.
That's fucking
So
bullshit.
the cops are like, yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing we could do. And I'm like, well, can you like at least walk this mom to her car, like drive these people to their house, like I'm like,
right.
help
Yeah,
this
can
poor
you
girl.
protect and serve in
Yeah,
some way?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Please help these people. And the cops are like, oh, unfortunately, we're not even allowed to do that. So the cops leave. And now these people are still out in the parking lot. And like my boss, who's like, I guess the store manager, like
Yeah.
of all of the departments, is
Yeah.
like, no one else can walk them to their car. Can you walk them to their car? And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Now I gotta get in the middle of this. She's like, take a box cutter.
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, so
That's
now
so fair,
for
though.
Target, I'm gonna have to go fight this guy for my life or whatever
In
I'm
the
gonna
parking
gut
lot. At
this
11
man in the
p.m.
parking
at
lot.
11 p.m.
What town was this?
This was
River?
in Medford.
Of course
Okay,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one I go
Class.
to.
Yeah, and
not going there.
That
anymore.
was like that was my last closing shift. I quit
No
after that.
way.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
And
Wait.
it was intense in the moment. I was like,
Yeah,
"There's
of course.
nothing we can do."
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Kidnapping and yeah,
So how did the naked man get out of the Target?
he just ran. Like when I walked away from
Still
him,
naked?
No, he put his clothes back on. He was just trying to
Why
distract.
bother at that point?
Yeah, I agree. Should have
Yeah.
just ran naked.
Yeah.
The cops wouldn't have even done
Wow.
Fucking weirdo.
anything. Yeah,
That is a perfect segue to my story that I was
I
gonna
love
tell.
that.
Let's go.
Hit
Yeah, I
us
love
with
when
it.
you do that because this is going to be a story about when cops save somebody.
Oh,
Yes,
yay.
let's
Okay,
go.
So
cool.
this is a good one. So this takes place in probably like 2013 or something like that. I'm like at this holiday party for like my uncle had been remarried, and so we were like meeting that new side of the family for the first time. And so his new wife has a sister, and I think my sister said like, "Oh, why is she like so uptight?" Like the sister.
yeah.
And my
She said this to you?
she said this to my mom.
Okay.
I'm sitting around them while this is happening. And my mom goes, "Oh, like that's so and so. I'll leave her name out of this." And she's like, "Oh, she has like PTSD. Like something fucking crazy like really happened to her. That's why she's like that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, like what happened? Like, do you know what happened?" Like I asked my mom this. So my mom proceeds to tell me this fucking story in the middle of this holiday party.
You're like, great.
Yeah. She tells me that the reason why this woman is the way that she is because she used to be a bank teller and she was actually held gunpoint during like a hostage
Damn.
situation.
Yeah.
And so like thank God, but she like comes out of that incident unharmed, minus the trauma, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of that. So what I'm getting at here is that like since this incident, this person is very like aware, like hyper aware of everything,
Sure.
and is
Yeah.
very like kind of
Yeah.
like neurotic in a way.
Yeah.
So she says at this point she now works at like some retail store, like a Kohl's or something
Sure.
like that.
Yep.
She's leaving work one night.
If it's Kohl's, every Kohl's on earth, that's where shit goes down.
I
Really?
know.
Yes.
It might have
Gymnastic
been.
Mary.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Remember her?
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rip.
So she's leaving work one night and she's driving back home and she just has this feeling and she thinks to herself like, I think this truck is like following me. There's like a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like tailing her. She just
Yeah.
has like a weird feeling, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, I think like something's up with this guy. This guy's like definitely fucking like following me. Like he's making every turn that I make. Like,
Yeah.
And so she starts to like panic a little bit because she's already had so much happen to her. So she's like, what do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
So she's like, I can't go home. I'm
Right.
not gonna bring this guy home to me if he is following me. So she's like, all right, I'm just gonna drive around like a little bit, see if this guy like keeps tailing me. So she just starts making these like random turns and stuff like that. She's just driving at this point, and sure enough, this truck, is still every turn still following her. So now she's getting really afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
And she gets to a stoplight, and as she's stopped at the light, this truck goes around her to the lane next to her and is now stopped, and she looks over her shoulder and gets a good look at this guy. And this guy looks at her and does this. He does that.
Oh,
he does like
God.
the gun motion like that.
Yeah.
So she's
No
like,
way.
I'm calling the cops.
Sure.
Yeah.
Immediately. So she
Of
calls
course.
the police and she's like, I'm sorry, like I'm maybe I'm freaking out, but like I think this guy is following me. Like I don't want to go home. Can you help me? And the cops are like,
Nothing we
go.
can do.
No. They're like, go, do not go home. Go to this parking lot, find a parking space that has no open spots next to you. We'll meet you there. It's like a CVS or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
go here, we'll meet you there. Don't get out of your car. Sit in your car, lock your doors, make sure your windows are up. Try and find a spot that's like, full.
Yeah.
And just wait until we get there. So she does that. She goes to this parking lot and she parks, and sure enough, she finds a series of spots that are like all filled up.
Yeah.
She parks a car, and this fucking truck comes right in front of her and parks in like the
gosh.
spaces that are like parallel to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
series
yeah,
of
yeah.
spaces that she's at, right? And she's like, this fucking guy is like really,
Ballsy, yeah.
he's like after me, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
So he parks his car, and as soon as he parks his fucking car, 2 cops show up. Boom.
Nice.
Block him in. Park
Nice.
behind him, park in front of him. Guy's stuck,
Wow,
right?
perfect timing.
They get out of the car, and they approach this man, and they're like, we just got a call about so-and-so. And this guy is completely fucking unhinged, it turns out, right?
Yeah.
And the cops are like, what are you doing? And he literally looks these officers in the eye and goes, I'm hunting humans today.
Oh.
And in the back seat of his fucking truck was rope, a knife, duct tape, handcuffs,
yeah.
a gun, like a fucking handgun. Bro, it gets worse.
No!
It somehow gets worse. So they stop this guy, right? And she's
Yeah.
like, thankfully is unharmed or whatever. She finds out this dude was her fucking neighbor.
Oh my
He
God.
was stalking her for weeks.
Did he know what happened at the bank or no? You
No,
think?
No, he didn't know.
Didn't
he
know
just
the
had
better,
this
though.
like fascination with her.
Yeah.
He stalked her for weeks. He found out her work schedule. He waited until she left work at a time, and he was like, "This is my moment."
Dude.
And
That's
he tried to fucking.
You know
act
what
on it.
though, man? Like, good thing that she was like in that high stress situation that led her to
Yeah.
be
Dude,
it
alert
probably
before,
saved her
True.
life.
because it
To
saved
be
her life.
hypervigilant,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What are the odds? Like him
Yeah.
doing that movement is just
Yeah, he went
disgusting.
like
Like,
that.
Yeah.
He
oh
like looked
my
her in the
God.
eye. She said.
That's
and he did
wild.
that.
I feel like that's a cautionary tale as
Yeah.
to why you should pay attention to who
Yeah.
lives next to you.
Seriously.
Pay
real.
attention to
You
your
know?
surroundings, dude. Keep
Exactly.
your eyes open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because
that's what I got for you.
I love that story. Obviously, disgusting human being.
Yeah, for
But
real.
it just really drives the point home that sometimes humans are the scariest thing that's out there. You know,
True.
there might be ghosts and demons and all that, but humans with
Ill-
no
ill intent,
yeah,
man.
with
Yeah.
ill intent are
Yeah.
frightening. And you know,
Terrifying.
the world is a creepy place, and
Yeah.
we just get lost in it.